everyone, welcome back to Hands-Free Studying for the MBE, brought to you by Brainscape.
These upcoming Torts questions cover negligence. Let's get started. Question 1. What are the elements of negligence? The elements of negligence are first, duty of care, second, breach, third, actual cause, fourth, proximate cause, and fifth, damages. Question 2. What general duty of care is owed? The defendant owes a reasonable duty of care. In other words, a defendant should act like a reasonably prudent person to all foreseeable plaintiffs in the zone of harm. Question 3. Who are foreseeable plaintiffs? Foreseeable plaintiffs are persons who are in the zone of danger, which is the area where the person is reasonably at risk of suffering physical harm from the defendant's conduct. Question 4. What are the different standards of care? The first is the reasonably prudent person standard, sometimes abbreviated as the RPP. And then we have standards that are imposed on children, standards that are defined by statute, standards defined by industry custom, and then you have different types of standards for professionals, landowners, and common carriers and innkeepers. Question 5. What is the reasonably prudent person standard of care? The reasonably prudent person standard states that a defendant must act as a reasonably prudent person would under the same circumstances with the same knowledge and capacity as an average person. Remember that this is an objective standard. All right, folks, let's take a quick study break to remind you how important negligence is for the MBE. It will make up half of all of your torts questions and account for roughly 1/14 of your overall MBE score. So make sure you pay close attention to negligence. All right, let's get started on those last 6 through 10 questions. Question 6. What is the standard of care for children? The standard of care for children is that children must act as a child of similar age, experience, and intelligence would in similar circumstances. Now remember that this is more subjective than the reasonably prudent person standard. Question 7. When are children held to the adult standard of care? Children are held to the adult standard of care, which is the reasonably prudent person standard, when they are engaging in inherently dangerous adult activities. For example, driving a car or motorcycle. Question 8. What is the standard of care for professionals? The standard of care for professionals is that they must act the same as a professional with the same expertise and experience who is in good standing in a similar community would act. Question 9. What is the standard of care for doctors? Doctors must act the same as an average doctor in good standing would act. Now, in some jurisdictions, they're compared to an average doctor in the same geographic area, and in other jurisdictions, they look at how an average doctor nationally would act. Question 10. What is the standard of care for specialists? The standard of care for specialists is a national standard of care for that specialty.
And that's the end of your 10 flashcard study round. To reach full mastery, remember to study in Brainscape. Our mobile and web app uses the latest in spaced repetition techniques, allowing you to optimize your study time and track your progress down to the finest detail. Of course, when you're driving, cooking, exercising, or otherwise unable to navigate the app, be sure to keep listening to the rest of this hands-free studying playlist. No matter what subject you're learning and what method you're studying it, Brainscape helps you rise to your challenge.